am a Master System monster. Don't worry though, I won't be ripping off this cute Totoro onesie because it's too cute, I like it. This is a video response to 8BitBoyUk's Are You a Master System Monster? That's quite a handful to say at one go. I am a Master System monster. I've got just over 100 Master System games, and he has asked all monsters to come up with their top 5 games. Now his top 5 games are really interesting. There's a few games in that top 5 that I really love as well. However, the top 5 I've chosen are games that I could spend hours playing. Some of these are going to be quite controversial in regard to what certain people feel are games. I personally am a massive fan of puzzle games, and one of my most favourite subgenres of games is arduous games. Games that make you do things that some people might not consider fun. That to me is, that's my happy place, that's where I want to be. So, these are my top 5. Coming in at number 5 is quite a controversial game because a lot of people do not like this game at all, and that is Alex Kidd in High Tech World. Now, those that know, this is not an Alex Kidd game. It's not a platformer, any style at all. It's actually a game called Anmitsu Hime, Princess Anmitsu, and it's a reskin for Alex Kidd in the West. It is not a platformer, as I've said. It's a puzzle game, essentially. And it's not even that, it's like a weird mix. If I do that, so then it'll actually get in focus. It's a bit of a weird mix, almost like a bit like Mario is Missing. There's some knowledge questions in it. There's all sorts of puzzles that you have to do. You have to pay attention to things that people are saying. And the point of the game is that an arcade has opened in town, and you need to get to the arcade. However, you'll notice throughout the whole house, which appears to be a very traditional, I think it's a castle. Yes, it is. Is it an enchanted castle? It just says castle. He has life in the castle. You have to get to the arcade. However, there's clocks all over that tell you the time because the arcade closes at 5. If you don't get there before 5, it's game over. You kind of don't really get to do it. So I don't have this complete. This was introduced to me by a dear colleague that I used to work with. Even like it's so haggard. Let me just sort that out. The label is not attached. I think this is actually maybe the only Master System game I have where the label is not attached, so you can see there. I don't have the manual. What I do have, however, though, is notes. This is me making a map whilst playing through. You'll notice that it's not complete. I've still never completed this game, but I do like trying. It's one of those kind of games where, in fact, you know what it's like. It's a lot like the oh my gosh, what's his name? Is it Kintaro? On the no, Kitano. Yeah, Kitano. On the Famicom. It's essentially, it's almost to the point of a nonsense game. These are some notes that I wrote down. There's things that you can interact with in the game that just end the game over. The first time I ever played it, I interacted with a suit of armour. You get inside the suit of armour and then can never get out again. So yeah, it's not everyone's cup of tea at all. People hate it because it's not Alex Kidd at all. Some of the things that you do are nonsense, more nonsense than an adventure game. So that might give you an idea essentially of what you do. I've never gotten outside of the castle. I think that when you get outside the castle, you have to then survive ninjas to get to the arcade anyway, so the likelihood of getting to the arcade is very slim. I don't think it's actually a very long game if you know what you're doing, and it does have password save as well, so you can continue with password saves. So that's my number 5. A bit of a controversial one. This one as well actually might be a bit controversial. This I used to play, and my sister, we both used to play it loads on the ZX Spectrum, and this is Flintstones by, I think it's Grand Slam, yeah. As you can see, this was owned by Jonathan Brown, who put his lovely little Games Master sticker on it. This one is complete, I believe. This one is another one that a lot of people don't like because it's stupidly annoying and hard. The point is you're going bowling. However, before you go bowling, you're not allowed to leave because you're babysitting Pebbles, and you have to paint the living room, I think it is, before you're allowed to leave. Except obviously your brush can only hold so much paint. Pebbles keeps escaping out of her enclosure to draw on the walls. It's really hard just to get out of the house, essentially, and then when you get to the house, you have to drive to the bowling alley, and Fred's car is falling apart. So any kind of bumps, that's it, the car falls apart. If you don't get to the bowling alley before it closes, similar to High Tech World, that's it. You don't get to play bowling. I think I've only ever bowled like twice in the whole game when I used to play it. It's one that I'll always love, but it's a bit. This is part of the arduous subgenre. Those two games, that's why I love them. This is a bit more of a traditional game now, and that's Phantasy Star at my number 3. This, unfortunately, this is a repro inlay. I don't have the actual inlay. I don't have the manual either. This was just a cart only that I got a very long time ago, and had meant to play it for so long, and only recently, last year, started actually playing it. The 3D mazes are absolutely stunning for the Master System. The music is so good. It's a massive world as well. The music is fantastic in this. I can essentially play it on demand in my head. But like with a lot of games, I'm not allowed to play any of the other Phantasy Stars on the Mega Drive until I've finished this one out, and I haven't finished it yet. I've gotten to a certain part. I think I'm at least halfway through, but it's an RPG, needs a lot of grinding. You know how it is. Okay, now this is when it gets into my forte, so puzzle games. Puzzle games are one of my favourite genres in all games. This isn't actually a traditional Master System game, this is actually a homebrew. This is Heroes Against Demons, which is a fantastic match 3 that came out a couple of years ago, I think. You can buy this physical edition from 2minds.fr. The original creator, Ichigo, has actually very recently ported it to the Game Gear as well, with 2-player, which is really cool. It is an amazing match 3, similar to sort of Puzzle Quest, so you're battling enemies, you have to match swords to attack, you have to match hearts to gain health, there's potions to do magic attacks. It's a really cool game, has some great music, and is challenging. I did complete it just after playing it for hours last year, and I could easily go back to it just to play more of, essentially. So that's my number 2. My number 1, I don't know, people might not think that this should be a number 1, but my favourite Master System game is Shanghai. Now this is Mahjong in the sense of the Mahjong that we get over in the West. It's not a head-to-head Mahjong. It is matching tiles. So you have like a big screen full of Mahjong tiles. In order to get to the bottom, you have to match other tiles around. Now I used to play a PC Mahjong game, I'm not even entirely sure what it was, when I was younger, and I would just sit with it for hours, just playing it, trying to match them all. Essentially what happens is you get like a random seed of how the tiles have been placed. Occasionally you can complete the game, but you'll often get stuck with the inability to make any more moves, and this is no different on the Master System version. This is a pretty common game, I suppose, as well, because it's just a traditional puzzle game. Not everyone wants it. I actually got this copy off of CX, and they sell it fairly cheap. It was like £6, £8, something like that. For some reason on eBay it goes for about £20. But to me it's worth that, I guess. I just took me a while before I got it, because I will literally play this for hours on end, and it's often I'm still trying to complete this, and instead what I do is I boot up this for a few hours instead. It's got some okay music. One thing I will say is, unlike a lot of games, on the Master System, traditionally I would use the Master System controller, but recently I got one of these lovely retro bit Mega Drive controllers, and they have such a long cable. They're perfect to just sit in front of the TV with. However, this only allows you to use the Master System controller. I think it's you can't move up or down or left or right unless you're using the Master System controller. So you do have to do that. If you like me also love puzzle games like this, yeah, I do recommend you pick up Shanghai, because you'll spend hours on it like I do. Yeah, and that's my top 5. Not quite as adventurous as 8BitBoyUk's, but I'm very glad that he asked for video responses on his Master System Monster video, because yeah, those are my top 5, and I think that they're quite different to a lot of people's top 5s. I'm not very good at games, and so I do enjoy it when there's a game that you can just sink hours and hours into, and it's not frustrating playing it. I mean, maybe the Flintstones and High Tech World, they can be frustrating, but I like to be able to just take in those games. So yeah, that's my top 5, and hope there's a few other responses as well. Bye!